So yes, indeed, I am back. And yes, I do intend to remake some of the videos, well, the majority of the videos that were, in fact, lost. Including, most certainly, the Ravenloft stuff, to the best of my remembered ability. Because the Ravenloft stuff, I think that's the one that hit me the hardest. That was a series of videos that I worked on that I was particularly proud of. Um, just a real set of wonderful stories. Um, I don't think that's going to be around October. I think I'll probably do something else for you know, the month of Halloween. I'm not too sure when I'll get to those videos, but they will be coming. The Kingdoms of Alea, I think I'm just going to go right into talking about some of my adventures in my homebrew campaign, and then I will inevitably talk about the landscape either separately or during the initial storytelling of said adventure. So, the last video that I had of the older videos ends with the subject matter in which I started my vlog series originally on, to boat or not to boat. And it was a very long and over-exacerbated thing, talking about whether or not you should get on a boat and go selling in the D&D campaign landscape. And basically what the conversation amounted up to was basically this. This is going to be the to boat or not to boat video, reposted, as it were. So, it comes down to this. If you have a DM that's trustworthy, you trust your DM to host a good campaign, then you have a 50% chance that things are going to go decently. And that's with any adventure where you and your party decide you are going to get on a boat and go sailing. Because here's the thing. A lot can go wrong at sea, and that's why a lot of adventures aren't really done at sea. You know, even the most trustworthy, even I have, screwed up when it comes to certain things as far as a campaign that involves from sailing from one point to the other. And a lot of the times when you're doing a campaign and your DM wants to sail from one place to the other, unless you're using it as just as a device to get from one place to the next, if you're going to have this thing where you encounter sea creatures and shit, that becomes really tricky, because guarantee you, because there are so many awesome sea creatures to pick from in the D&D world that most DMs never get to fucking use. And so it's like sometimes against our better nature we just can't fucking help ourselves, and we want to throw a fucking sea monster in there. The problem with that is you're on a fucking boat, a very small confined space of fucking wood. It's not like you can put a fucking kraken in there. Even if your players are badass, even if your players are a high level, you put a kraken in there, it's so easy for that kraken to just tear up that fucking boat, and then you're just done. Okay? So, I've done it. I know Terry has done it before, and it's not something we're doing, on purpose. The majority of those who I've talked to, kind of avoid doing it for the same reason. It's just that you tend to get a little carried away, and you tend to not know the encounter levels you're exactly dealing with, because you rarely deal with adventures at sea. Now, some adventures can be very fun. I ran an adventure which was kind of like a crusade that our characters went on in our homebrew campaign of Alea, and it involved running into Sinbad and his crew, and we had a shit ton of fun sailing with Sinbad, having adventures. It was a great time. But sometimes it's not so great, you know? You're running a very high risk. Long story short, if you go out on sea, if you step foot onto a boat, no matter who your DM is, if he's a good, trustworthy DM to be running a decent, well-balanced campaign, you still got a 50% chance. And that's at best. Okay, so in reality, you're probably looking at 60-40. 40% chance you're making it back with a good, trustworthy DM. If it's just some guy you're not too familiar with, you know, and you're all getting together and stuff, and he's like, yeah, no, I can definitely do a D&D campaign or something. Yeah, come on over, yeah. And, you know, you guys are kind of getting together, and maybe it's it's the first time you played with this DM, or, you know, you've only played a couple games with him, and he decides to do a sea adventure. Well, you're probably going to get fucked.